With every gong, may you hear her words saying big love to you all. So just a reminder as we begin with our gong.
Good morning, Soul Center. Good morning. Happy Sunday. I'm Stephanie Williamson. We are going to welcome Rocky Peter Ajoku this morning as our musician guest. And you get to hear his gifts as soon as I'm finished with the announcements. Just a reminder, our safety precautions for those attending in person. This is for those of you who are still at home and not coming down here, okay, so that you know what's going on. We have open doors with fresh air and outdoor patio sitting and our seating. And the mask is optional in all settings, but please be mindful of other people's personal space. And of course, we want to continue with air hugs during our peace song. We don't want to hold hands unless, of course, you're with family, but you can put your hands over your heart. We have a number of upcoming events and classes. Reverend Keith's Daily Affirmative Prayer is live at 9:30 a.m. Pacific daily, except Sundays. I guess you can figure out why. And it streams on Soul Center's Facebook page and on Zoom. The stream's Zoom link can be found on the Soul Center newsletter. The Life Visioning class begins Thursday, June 30th. In this 6-week online class, you will learn the 4 stages of spiritual growth, how to construct and ask empowering questions, and to articulate the vision that's seeking expression through you. Class instructed by Reverend Coco Stewart, and registration information is at soulcenteroc.com. A Course in Miracles is always meeting on Tuesdays from 6 to 8 p.m. Pacific with Akili Beckwith. Join anytime, and of course, details at soulcenteroc.com. Our tea program meets on the first Sunday of the month, and so starting next month, we are excited to welcome Tyler Conti, he's been our musical guest, as the new head of the teen program. Wow. Yeah. And then in our Enlightened Kids Village, Jessie Moon teaches mindfulness and yoga. Jessie received her master training for many years and is well known for her effective training methods. Our prayer chaplains are wearing blue prayer shawls, and they are here and online holding a sacred space for all of us and you. They are available after service on our patio for confidential prayer, and of course prayer requests may also be sent to soulcenterocprayers@gmail.com. To sign up for our weekly newsletter, please go to soulcenteroc.com. Tithing, to tithe outside of today's service, you want to text to 669-342-2157. And then, of course, you can Venmo at Soul Center OC or mail a check. Our new address is in your program and on our website. You can also go to soulcenteroc.com to give or sign up to auto tithe. It helps Soul Center set our budget and short and long-term goals, such as for Soul Center's permanent home. And of course, tithing is tax deductible. We are looking for a new kind of volunteer, not an old kind, a new kind of volunteer. You don't even have to arrive early or stay late. We are simply looking for one volunteer a week whose main purpose is to write down all the quotes that move you throughout Reverend Keith's message and then ultimately choose your favorite quote of that Sunday and forward it to Jessica, who will then get a social media post printed for the following week. Sounds cool, huh? Yeah. Our soul circles are amazing. The soul circle that I join in on has just enriched my life greatly, and I have some new wonderful friends because of it. So, if you would like to join a soul circle, there's a new one, and it meets on Zoom the first Monday of each month at 6:30 p.m. Pacific time. It's a great way to connect with the community. And also, if you would like to join or help create our new men's soul circle, you want to email soulcirclesoc@gmail.com. And as always, we want to pay homage to our founders, Jessica and her mother, Patricia, who is our angel. We are so grateful to you both for co-founding our beautiful Soul Center, where the divine vision continues to fulfill its purpose of a loving, inclusive, spiritual community. Thank you so much. And, just a second, yeah. Okay. And I forgot something really important. Yeah, okay. All right. Before we go ahead with our music, we are going to do our Soul Center OC declaration. You can find it on the inside of your program. Please follow me. There is one life, and that life is God. That life is perfect, and that life is my life now. I am here to receive the divine message for me. I am awake, I am tapped in, and I am transformed. Yay, go ahead to seat it. And now, let's sit back, relax, and listen to our musical guest today, Rocky Peter Ajoki.
Thank you. You guys remember what this is, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Sometimes in our life, we all have pain, we all have sorrows, but if we are wise, we know that there's always tomorrow. Lean on me when you're not strong. I'll be your friend, I'll help you carry on, for it won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. Please swallow your pride. If I have something you need to borrow, for no one can see those of that you will let show. Lean on me when you're not strong. I'll be your friend, I'll help you carry on, for it won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. You got to call on that friend, need a hand. We all need somebody to lean
got to call me sister when you need a hand. We all need somebody to lean on. Call me, call me, call me. Sing it out. Yeah. Call me. Don't stop. Call me. You can do that. Don't stop, baby. Call me. Let me hear you come out. I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on. For it won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lead. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone.
Good.
My name is Lynn Shanky. Hi, Lynn.
Good morning.
Our reading is taken from This Thing Called You by Ernest Holmes. Your consciousness, which means the sum total of your thoughts, is the medium between the invisible cause and your personal life. Though you were in hell and you dwelt on heavenly things, you would immediately find yourself in heaven. Though you were in heaven and dwelt on evil, you would immediately find yourself in hell. Evil is the result of the wrong use of the law of life. Therefore, your greatest desire should be to use the law rightly. You always use it rightly when you use it constructively. You always use it constructively when there is nothing in you that would hurt anyone, when you use it with love. It is not necessary to spend your entire time in prayer and meditation. Rather, seek to make your work a prayer, your believing an act, your living an art. It is then that you that the object of your faith will be made visible to you. It is then that you shall kiss the lips of your desire. Your thought is creative, not because you will, wish, hope, or long for it to be so. It is creative because there is a creative law operating upon it. You did not make this law, you only use it. It is important that you maintain a strict censorship over your thinking. Just as you watch your garden that foreign seed shall not fall into it, producing a growth of undesirable plants, so must you refuse entrance to any thoughts you do not wish to see manifested in your life. Let us turn within and pray. That is such a great reminder. I'm so grateful. I love getting into this grateful space, grounding in this grateful space, and just reflecting on everything that I have to be grateful for. My life is so full, and I am always surrounded by so much love and beauty and wonderful friends and family, and I am grateful for all of it. I'm grateful for Soul Center, nourishing my soul every week, every day. It is such a gift. Thank you. I'm grateful that I know that God is all there is. That one presence, that one power, that one love, that one mind. Knowing that the presence of God is moving and grooving through each and every one of us. We can hear God in the music, in the laughter, in the beautiful words of encouragement that come from our friends. We can see it in the flowers and the rain and the clouds, knowing that that presence is everywhere. What a blessing. I am grateful and thankful to know that I am one with this presence, that each and every one of us here are one with the presence, everyone watching, all of our family, all of our friends, everyone we know, everyone we don't know, everyone on the planet. We are all part of God. We are all part of each other. Reflecting, revealing, being open and available to cultivate more love in our lives, in our heart, and sharing it with the world. Cultivating more peace and harmony and joy and goodness, and sharing that with the world. It becomes so easy when we practice every day, when we keep those thoughts in check. I know that this day is a perfect day. I'm blessing this day for all of us, knowing this ground is holy, this service is holy. Reverend Keith is delivering the perfect message for us, the divine message that is supposed to be heard by each and every one of us as individuals. Blessing Brocky as he blesses us with his gift of music. We are so blessed to be here. We are so grateful to be here, knowing this day is a perfect day. And carrying this word that we hear today, the music we hear today, cultivating it in our hearts and returning it to the world throughout the week. Drive-by blessings for everybody. I'm grateful to let it be, and I let it go, soar into that law. And so it is. Amen.
So it is.
Amen. Okay, now it is time for agape affirmations. You will find them in your program and coming up on the screen. I will speak a line and then we'll all repeat them aloud together with sincerity and acceptance. This is my favorite part. When I'm up here and you guys, it's such a great feeling to be up here, so keep it up. I am a divine idea bursting into expression, whole, complete, and perfect.
I am a divine idea bursting into expression, whole, complete, and perfect.
Today I joyfully exercise my right to shine.
Today I joyfully exercise my right to shine.
Vibrations of greatness and enthusiasm undergird my life.
Vibrations of greatness and enthusiasm undergird my life.
Thoughts of health and wholeness revitalize my body temple.
Thoughts of health and wholeness revitalize my body temple.
I am a creative, innovative, and elevated expression of God.
I am a creative, innovative, and elevated expression of God.
Abundance, benevolent abundance, blesses every aspect of my life.
Benevolent abundance blesses every aspect of my life.
I am grateful.
I grateful.
And so it is.
And so it is.
Amen.
Amen.
Oh, the speaker. There we go. You guys probably remember this song from last time I was here, March 27th, right?
Yes.
I just want to say once again, it's an absolute privilege to be with you guys here. When Jessica sent me that text and invited me to come back, I was elated. Thank you. I really, really appreciate you guys. So once again, this song is a song that I wrote that's inspired by my mom, who I never saw in love my whole life. And I want to use this song to encourage you, to remind you that you are worthy and deserving of love, regardless of your journey. This is Wrong Places. She's a pajama, and she falls for bad boys, broken mirrors in a drama. Cause our hearts being played like toys. Give her love. I she needs your love. Cause she searching for love, searching for love. She searching for love, searching for love, yeah. In the nightmares she's forsaken, total blue as I walk. She is caught up in the old cracks, fixing red trains in the same tracks. Give her love. I hope she needs your love. Cause she searching for love, searching for love. She searching for love, searching for love, yeah. Give her your love, 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 give her your she wants good love. She wants good love. Give her your love. 'Cause she
it. What a talent. What an amazing earth angel. We are so grateful for you. And I'm glad that you were glad to be invited back because of course. So good morning, Soul Center. Good morning over here. Good morning over here out in the rumpus room on the patio. Good morning. Good morning to those of you live streaming. Welcome. If you're tuned in, if you're here, you came for a specific reason, whether you know it or not. Some people might think, I just came to I had nothing better to do today. I don't know, I'll just come hang out with my friends at Soul Center, whatever it may be. But you came here because there's a call in your bones from your soul to grow and evolve into who you truly are. There's a divine impulse that wants to be realized through you. And all we need to do is say yes to that. We have to say yes to the call. That is when life is brilliant. And so welcome. This is Soul Center. We are an Agape affiliate, which means Agape, which is the International Spiritual Center, and also Agape, which means unconditional love in Greek. We are here to unconditionally love ourselves and honor, as it said in the readings, the laws that govern the universe. The law of creation that is seeking to bring joy to you and through you. And as the topic for today is living a full life. Living a full life, really going for it, making sure that you are mindful, grateful, as in G-R-E-A-T, a great life, and fruitful. And if you understand how the law works, then you know how to bring something from an idea into fruition. But we're talking about a divine idea. And as we move into this new month, and our theme for the month is living from the absolute. And that is basically the theme of life, to live from the absolute. Absolute good, absolute brilliance, absolute beauty, all the time, ceaselessly. Not taking no for an answer. If you're here, you're getting ready to get into the behoove groove and not take no for an answer with regards to your good. We're talking about capital G good. Capital G good. You got to nurture yourself. And you want to, when in Scripture, when we talk about Adam and Eve and the Garden of Eden and not eating from the tree of good and evil, that's a lowercase g. That's good and evil as in contrast, good and evil as in temporal. The Garden of Eden is just another name for heaven. Heaven is consciousness. The Garden of Eden is consciousness. And when it says that Eve was born from the rib of Adam, we know that that is a metaphor that the whole is within the two. So the two equals the whole. It has nothing really to do with gender. It has nothing to do with all being born from a biological lineage from Adam and Eve. We all know that that's kind of, if you think about it, a little wacky. What it is all is symbolic and metaphor, just like Scripture. 90% of what is written in any Scripture, whether it's the Christian Bible, the Hebrew Bible, the Bhagavad Gita, the Quran, the Tao Te Ching, any of the sacred texts, most of it is done in metaphor. And we want to understand how that works. But using the Garden of Eden as a metaphor, we want to know that our life is like a garden. You are the gardener of your life. And every gardener knows that you got to do a few things in your life. You got to till the soil and make sure that the nutrients, that the soil is nutrient dense, to, especially when it comes to that which you would like to bring fruit to. If I want to bring fruit to citrus, I got to make sure that there's nitrogen and that there's phosphorus and that there's potassium in the soil so that it can bear the most beautiful fruit. Have you ever seen a citrus tree that's a little like what? And the leaves are kind of a little bit like, they're a little bit kind of green. And it just means that the soil is not nutrient dense. All you got to do is get those nutrients in there. And the nutrient dense soil in your life is your consciousness. The garden is in your mind. And you've got to weed your mind just like you have to weed your garden. When you, weeds, we don't want to, first of all, we don't want to make weeds bad. But weeds are bad when they are inappropriate. They're inappropriate to what it is. So if I'm trying to grow things, and this is one of the things that we want to remember. When seedlings are planted, when you plant a seed of something that you would like to experience in your life, maybe it's greater prosperity, maybe it's greater vitality, maybe it's that soulmate relationship that you're looking for, maybe it's that adventure, maybe it's that great and grand project that you're working on. You're going to plant the seed, and if your soil is not fertile, if you don't have all the nutrients there, then you're going to be starting off with on a rough patch. The next thing is, while seeds are germinating, it is very common that weeds start to grow. And until a seed has germinated and gotten to a place where weeds can no longer bother it, then the weeds will grow and they will squash out the life of, in this case, the idea. And so we want to make sure that we have nutrient-dense soil, meaning we participate in good things. We participate in uplifting things. We want to make sure across the board, whether that's participating in eating actual nutrient-dense food. Now, I don't want to rain on anybody's parade, but when you eat food, if I use food as not necessarily a metaphor, just actuality, when you eat nutrient-dense food, then it complements the natural biochemistry of your body. It doesn't throw anything off. It just works with it. So when you eat rich, organic fruits and vegetables, when you eat citrus, those things are filled with life force, and your body knows what to do with them. Those are the building blocks that it needs to be the fuel, because food is fuel and it is medicine. Sometimes you have to take a little extra food when you need a little extra medicine because you didn't weed your garden, and so you fall prey to some of those encroaching weeds. But for the most part, you want to go ahead and make sure that those nutrients are complementary to your biochemical system. Now, this is the part where I don't want to rain on anybody's parade, but if any of you are out there and you're drinking Red Bulls, or maybe you're drinking, 4 cups of coffee a day, or you're relying on certain things that have adverse, non-complementary effects to your biochemistry, then that is something that is not working for you. That is something we're trying to placate, or if I'm running at a deficit because I haven't been tilling my soil, which means I'm participating in conscious up-leveling activities like reading good books, participating in our classes, listening to up-leveling music, watching good uplifting programming, maybe taking a fast from the news if it makes you upset. Whatever it is, you got to make sure that you are the gardener of your garden, and you want to till the soil, and you want to pluck those weeds. Now, years ago, I was working with a gentleman. He was, on the younger side. I think he was in his upper 30s or something around that nature. And he had been recently diagnosed with ADD, kind of an ADHD, kind of on the border there. And the problem was that he had been let go from a job again after many, many jobs. And part of it was, if anybody of you are familiar with ADD or ADHD, you have attention deficit disorder. Now, we want to be mindful in our community. We want to be mindful because, a lot of people in the New Thought spiritual communities were like, oh, stay away from the diagnosis. No, we wanted to use a diagnosis for what it's for. It tells you what's going on. So we take the diagnosis. Now, what you do with the diagnosis after you hear about the diagnosis, now that's where you want to weed the garden. It's telling you, if you have a diagnosis, there's some weeding to do. You let those weeds run amok. And if any of you have ever worked in a garden, if you weed on a regular basis, like, oh, there's a weed, but if you let it go for a while and you come out and it's like, oh my God, there's all these weeds. And then you're like there for, oh my God, this is too much, whatever. I'm going to have to hire somebody, hire a coach, hire a spiritual director, hire whoever to come help me weed my garden. We want to make sure that we don't leave our garden unattended. In this case, again, we don't make anything bad, we don't make anything wrong. But what brought him to this was he had gotten to the point where he had lost another job. It was probably like one in the series of 6 jobs because he couldn't pay attention. He couldn't stay focused on projects. He was exceedingly intelligent, but couldn't stay focused on the projects he was given, and then consequently, was one of those people drinking the Red Bulls and blah, blah, blah. And again, don't want to, bash the Red Bulls, but, you probably want to take care of that. And we want to make sure, so what ended ended up happening is he came in and he had been diagnosed, and then he had been put on Adderall. And I don't know, I became educated in these types of things, but Adderall is something that does not complement the natural biochemical activities of the body, because what it has to do is suppress and enact certain things in your body that are contrary to homeostasis. Not completely awful, because it does help you get focused, and it does help you get a little bit more centered, but there are some side effects. And the side effects were unbearable to this particular individual. Now, some people don't have those side effects. Maybe they have milder side effects. And again, we're not really here to talk about pharmaceuticals or anything of that nature. They have their place. Western medicine has its place, but your place is to be the gardener of your life and to make sure that if I need, we all know that we don't want to use, I don't remember what that stuff is, that the chemicals to kill the weeds. What's it called? Roundup, yes. We know the side effects of Roundup end up being very detrimental to the environment around. And then all of a sudden it gets into the biochemistry of the food supply, and then all of a sudden you realize later what that's doing to your own biochemistry. So that was affecting his biochemistry, and so up until that point, because it seemed like it had been working, he was using it. But then all of a sudden it stopped becoming effective, and it's very natural, very normal for a lot of pharmaceuticals to start losing their efficacy as they've been used for prolonged periods of time, because most pharmaceuticals are used to suppress things instead of bring things back into homeostasis. So not all, and again, we just want to be very clear. It's like, okay, I might just need this for a short time, but this is the part that's the important part. You then want to make sure that you do your spiritual due diligence and you start to set the intentions. Now, the law of creation is predicated on what you believe, so you shall achieve. Your database in your mind of everything you believe is what is going to turn out to be your experience. There's no way around it. The only way around it is to weed your garden and make sure that you clear out erroneous ideas, erroneous beliefs. So when he got to the point where now the medicine wasn't working anymore and he needed to do something about the ADD on his own, he finally relented to do something about it spiritually. Well, as it turns out, the first place you got to start is, I want to allow myself to be back in a natural flowing state of homeostasis, and my focus, because this is the other thing. There's lowercase f focus, where I'm focused on the world. I got to produce, I got to make things happen. I got to do. A lot of people, they get diagnosed with ADD because they're not focusing on these things in the temporal world. Well, you want to focus on that which is above. You want to bring your focus to your soul. You want to bring your focus to the divine and set the intention that that's the focus, because that focus will bring all the other focuses into focus. And we want to make sure that we cooperate with those natural laws. So the first thing we did was we started to look. And I said, well, how does it make you feel? I'm giving you the Cliff Notes version. But what it did was it took him back, and it turns out that his father was an alcoholic. His mother lost a child after he was born several years. And after she lost the child, she became kind of not despondent. She wasn't really there. And that happened when he was probably around 8. So for the first 8 years of his life, his mom was a little bit more in his life. But then when that happened, all of a sudden, the one thing that he could count on also fell apart. And all of a sudden, he started to divide his focus on all kinds of different things in his life from a state of fight or flight or survival mode. So you would think, and then as time went on, because his mom was a little despondent, eventually later on in life, that's when they were always focusing on what's the problem. Now, the ADD started out very slow. When they looked back, it wasn't like that big, and then it wasn't until it got to a critical mass point that's when the need for pharmaceuticals came into the equation. But all along the way, the garden was not being weeded. The garden had been filled to overflowing with weeds that needed to be cultivated, and also the nurturance. So one of the things I'm going to ask you to do, as we do in our lives, one of the key ingredients of a spiritual success story is to make sure that you are reflecting on a regular basis. If you are using something as a crutch, if you're using something like Red Bull or like excessive amounts of coffee or caffeine to keep you going, Well, then that means that something, because energy, we know from the scientific studies today, literally your body is an electromagnetic field. There is no less than 100 watts on average of electricity running through your body. When somebody goes to take a defibrillator and start a heart, what are they using? They're using electricity to get the electricity that runs your heart back into function. There's electromagnetic energy flowing through your energy body. So what ends up happening is when I start to mess with that, when I'm using artificial things to stimulate and activate, what my body is telling me is that there are some flows that are inactive, that aren't nourishing. I've got some weeds that have overtaken the garden that haven't been cleared out, and I start to feel more fatigue, more lack of focus. Something's not right. Now, everybody also knows in a garden, you gotta rotate your crops. You gotta have balance. You got to make sure that you're putting in the things, creating a balance in your life, in your garden, that supports the nurturance. You want to make sure that in our spiritual practice, if you look at how we do our trainings, whether it's chaplaincy or practitioner, when you look at how we do our trainings, you take a divine idea, and then you're going to take that seed of an idea, a divine idea like, what does it mean to be born in the image and likeness of God? What does it mean to know that life is capital G good? And when we think about the story of the Garden of Eden, that choice comes along where they're in the garden and it's like, oh, but you've been warned, don't eat from the tree of good and evil, which just means don't get involved in the temporal world with lowercase g and e, because that is where you're going to start getting involved in conspiracy theories. You're going to start getting involved in thinking that the temporal world is the real world instead of the real world being the eternal world, and the eternal world is your communion with the divine, which means you want to replace your temporal activities with spiritual activities. Spiritual activities are life-affirming, life-growing. They are the fertilizer and the nutrients that bring about. So that is why when you look at any spiritual tradition from any of the religions, you're going to find fasting as part of the equation. Fasting has been bastardized into being like, oh, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to, whatever the holiday may be, from whatever religion, I'm going to fast from food, as though if I just fast from food, voila, I'm enlightened. No, the fasting is I'm going to allow myself to recalibrate and not eat from the tree of good and evil. I'm going to come back to the beginning and allow myself to say, okay, what are the nutrients that my body needs? Do I need phosphorus? Do I need potassium? What is it that my body needs to complement itself? And make sure that we're allowing that to be in balance with every area of our life, that we don't dive into one area of life so profoundly that we're missing the rest. We want to make sure that we look at the pie chart of our life. How are my life? What are my relationships looking like? What is my education looking like? What is my spiritual practice looking like? What is my physical vitality looking like? We want to look at how do I process my emotions? To be self-realized, as we were talking about last week when we were talking about self-realization is the goal. You realize that you're born in the image and likeness of God. You realize you're a divine emanation of the Most High, which sounds pretty and maybe even airy-fairy, but it's true. And then you have to be self-aware. Self-awareness precedes self-realization. Self-awareness means I assess, address, and bless my life. I say, what is going on? Oh, a lot of people are... I knew this woman who every morning she would come in with this was back in my old corporate days, a 6-pack of Diet Coke, and she would drink them, and then she would also have about 4 cups of coffee on top of that. And it was kind of, and she was just, she didn't seem like, whoa. She just was kind of like, just to get her on onto a place where she could just function in the world. I would think that that's something you might want to look at and say like, hey, I don't know, because Diet Coke is not complementary to your biochemistry. It is not what your body needs to be in homeostasis. Sorry to say, even if you get the Diet Coke versus the regular Coke, it is not something that is going to come. Now, We want to make sure that, yeah, of course, once in a while you're going to have the cookie, you're going to have the donut, whatever, that's fine. But not when it's your go-to on a regular basis. When that is my go-to, where I'm maybe start getting addicted to sugar. So this gentleman, as we started to do the inner work, he thought he was unimportant. He didn't matter, which seems to be a theme. Most people on this planet want to know that they matter. They want to know that they have purpose. They want to know that they are good people. I can talk from my own experience. There was a point in my life at the lowest point where I really felt like, what's the point? When I had my deepest, darkest dark night of the soul, it was like, I'm not good enough. Who, what? I don't know. I'm just out of here. Nobody needs me. Won't make a difference in the world if I'm here or if I'm not here. God's got it all covered, so I can just bail. But you are an important, integral piece of this equation. We are all one. We are all together. And what ended up happening with this gentleman is he started to see the connection you've heard me talk about before, the energy fields. There's the electromagnetic field of your energy field. That's your primary energy field. The secondary is something that you share with one other person. Doesn't matter who that other person is, best friend, spouse, whomever. Then there's the family field. Well, in the family field, sometimes we call it ancestral energy or hereditary energy. In the family field of the energy, there was a common thread between the mom, the dad, and the son. And that thread was not feeling important. That thread was what led them to disassociate and leave the son feeling a little bit abandoned, a little bit neglected, a little bit unimportant. And then the son ended up going through his process. And as soon as we started to go back, as soon as he started to say yes, there was a little resistance at first. There was a resistance. He didn't, he kept trying to go here and trying to go there. Is there a different way besides meditating? Now, is there a different way besides praying? Because he couldn't be still at that particular point. He couldn't just be still and know that I am. It's the easiest thing in the world. And I know I didn't want anybody to get excited in the reading earlier today when Ernest Holmes says, and you don't need to pray and you don't need to meditate all day. And I think some of you were like, woohoo! But it's like, that's not what it meant. It meant when your life is ceaseless prayer and ceaseless meditation, you won't have to take time out and go, you'll just be in it. You have weeded all the weeds from the garden and you will be fruitful and you will allow yourself to live a full life. A full life is what we came here to live. I tell you, one of my greatest joys, you've heard me say it before, is when I'm working with people, I get more excited about when they get the fruits of their labors, the divine fruits. We're looking for the divine fruits. We want to make sure we understand the difference between divine fruits and placating temporal fruits. Where it's like, oh my God, can't tell you, if I had $1 for every time somebody's like, oh, I just need my Mr. Right, I just need my Mrs. Right, I just need my soulmate, but I don't want to do any of the work, so I'm just going to take whatever comes my way because of whatever self-deprecating ideas, whatever. I can't meditate. I can't set an intention. What? Oh, that's so much work to set an intention, because you know what you have to do to set an intention? You have to be still and make your intention match your desire. The desire is an impulse you can't get away from. You have an impulse within you from the mind of God, from the heart of God, that is seeking goodness, that is seeking joy, that is seeking brilliance, that is seeking magnificence, and it will never leave you. You can't get away with it, away from it. You can't get away with it either. You can implore it, you can employ it, you can work with it, you can work with the laws and use them by being mindful, as it said in the reading from Ernest Holmes. You got to be diligent and mindful of those thoughts. But what trips people up sometimes is that the thoughts we are oftentimes talking about aren't the lowercase c conscious thoughts of your 10% of your awakened mind. We're talking about the conscious thoughts that have been recorded in your subconscious that you don't actually think in words. If you're lucky, you will catch some of those thoughts. I was working with somebody who had a very self-deprecating thought, and it would very loudly say, you don't deserve that. You're not good enough. That's actually lucky if you can hear that, as opposed to it's running like a virus in the back and you can't hear it at all because you've suppressed it so much, which is what this gentleman had done. He had suppressed it so much, then bring in Adderall, suppress it even more. And then how can you get rid of the virus if you don't even know it exists? You want to make sure that you become conscious enough to weed your garden on a regular basis, and that's why we do our practices. And I want you to know, it's fun. It's really fun. You got to let it be fun. You got to set the intentions, and it's like, oh, okay, wait a minute. So I'm supposed to check in with the desires of my heart. I'm supposed to set an intention that matches the frequency with that desire, and then I'm supposed to allow it to be. Oh my God, that sounds so difficult. But that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to do that, and we're going to do it right now. So I'm just going to invite you to think of something. Bring your awareness to your heart. Think of something that you would like to experience, and we're going to take that into prayer. And I'm going to invite you to just observe it. Don't judge it, and don't push it away. Just observe whatever it is, what brings you joy. It might be a quality, it might be an energy, it might be an activity, whatever it is. We take a moment and we open into the fertile field, into the fertile soil of ever-expanding good. We choose right now, as we allow that desire to sit before us, the desire of God, the desire of my soul to sit before us, and we open and we choose right now to let go of anything that would obstruct, constrict, or restrict the fruition of that divine idea. And we do so by opening to the holy light, the great remembering of knowing that there is an omnipresent, omnipotent power and intelligence that is omniamorous, all-loving, and that love, which is the power that beats our heart. It is the power that sprays the rainbow. It is the power that grows the lilies of the field that toil not. It is the power that orbits the earth and all of the other planets, and it is working for you. One grand conspiracy is the conspiracy to bring to, through, and as your life pure joy, pure bliss. So we choose today to let go of any habits, any ideas, any beliefs that are not congruent with the perfect, harmonious, efficient expression of that which brings me joy. We choose to be diligent, and we choose to weed our garden, our mind, on a regular basis of any thoughts, subconscious or otherwise, that are not divine thoughts. We choose to set the intention that we are allowing ourselves to be one with the Holy Presence, one with the Holy Mind, and that we allow our good, our capital G good, the good that is back of all life, God's good. It's so good, we took God and put one more O in there to make it good. God is good. We say yes to that in our lives, right here, right now. We acknowledge our divinity, we acknowledge the divinity of everything and everyone, and we allow ourselves to be in homeostatic balance and brilliance with the divine idea. I am so grateful to know that there is no difficulty in the divine. The universe is predicated, situated, and activated on the laws of ease, grace, and simplicity, elegance, and brilliance. We choose to surrender to that. We choose to allow it to be now. We choose to allow it to be so. Immediately, immaculately, benevolently, brilliantly, elegantly, joyously, gracefully, and beautifully. And we agree by saying, and so I let it be. And so it is. Amen. 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 Ashe. Aho. Mahalo. Shalom. Hotep. And hallelujah. All right. All right, Soul Center. It's time for conscious giving. We're going to go ahead. And you got the coming up on the screen. Just a reminder, when you text to donate, you have to text the word give. You got to get that into the equation, and that goes to area code 669-342-2157. You can do that here, you can do it abroad, you can do it wherever you are. You can also send checks to the address on your screen, and as the ushers come forward, you can also put anything that you'd like in the basket, including those butterflies that say and state that you are auto-tithing. We do appreciate that, and we give thanks for all of that as the ushers go forward. And we allow the brilliance of Rocky to come back and fill our ears with joy.
When the night has come and the night is dark and the moon is the only light we see. No, I won't be afraid. No, I won't be afraid. Just as long as you stand by me. Darling, darling, stand by me. Oh, stand by me. Stand by me. Stand by me. Stand by me. If the sky that we look above should crumble and fall, or the mountain should tumble to the sea, I won't cry, I won't cry. No, I won't shed a tear. Just as long as you stand by me. Sing it loud. Darling, darling, stand by me. Oh, stand by me. Stand by me. Stand by me. Stand by me. One more time. Darling, darling, stand by me. Oh, stand by me. Sing it loud. Stand by me. Stand by me.
stand by you. I will stand by you. Tony, Tony, stand by you. Tony, stand by you. Oh, I will stand,
Thank you, Rocky. Excellent as always. And the ushers are coming forward. And we're getting ready to do what we do, which is bless the offering. And just a little footnote. The gentleman I was talking about, off Adderall, off of being ADD, and because of his healing, his mom also had a healing from chronic depression. So just want to say, when you do the work, it works. And with that being said, we're going to go ahead and we are going to bless this offering. We extend our heart, our prayers to our hands, and we give thanks knowing that right where we are, all needs are met, that everything we need is here. We are grateful for the circulation, the tithing, the supply that continues to grow and glow individually and collectively as this congregation, as our lives, as this center. We let it be good, we give thanks, and so it is.
So it is.
Amen.
Amen.
Did they disappear?
We're waiting on the
children's community. We'll see. They're coming. Here they come. All right.
It's for you.
Tell them to go away.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Happy Sunday.
Happy Sunday.
We did a fun activity today. We wrote letters inside of letters. And they were, so you can see we each wrote a letter inside of a letter. And it's going out to Emily. Shout out to Emily if you're on the live stream or anything. But we wrote all of these nice messages for Emily. And since she will be in Nevada for a while and won't be able to help with our program as much anymore. But yeah, do you want to read this one?
Yeah, I kind of just wrote a bunch of memories that I had of Emily. You know, she's been so kind and compassionate to our group for so long. And, you know, we've known her since we were in 6th grade, I think. And so it's been a while. And she's just so kind and compassionate.
Yeah.
Would anybody else like to say what they wrote?
I put, thank you for playing Foursquare with us and always being a bright and joyful person. You will always be thought of here.
We're complete? Anything else?
No. Alright. Good job, guys.
All right. It's time for our peace song.
Yeah.